So good afternoon, everybody. I am Heather Pinnacus, currently serving as the NC Ed Connect, formerly home base section chief. We just had a little title change there, and very excited to be bringing you some information and some research that Ashley and I've been doing and chatting about AI, artificial intelligence. So Ashley, you want to take a minute to introduce yourself?
I'm Ashley McBride. I'm the Digital Learning Initiative Section Chief for the Department of Public Instruction. That just means that I'm in charge of making sure that all the things we do aligns to our state's digital learning plan and all of our strategic initiatives. Very happy to be here today.
All right, so to get us started, we want you to take a moment and in the chat, answer the starter question for us here. If AI could take over one task tomorrow for you, what would you hand off first? So only one task. What task tomorrow would you give AI to take over for you? Go ahead and put that in the chat to get us started. Let's see what kind of thoughts they come up with, Ashley. If AI could take over one task tomorrow for you, what would you give up first? What would you let it do for you?
Laundry.
Yes, laundry.
I like
All right,
laundry.
I don't know about y'all, but I saw a really cool robot that I'm pretty sure could do that. But I remember we are in the world of education, and so I'm not sure we can afford said robots yet.
We have buses.
Oh, yes, buses. Oh my gosh.
Scheduling.
Oh, yes.
Meetings.
Observation comments.
We have
Okay.
feedback, cooking, parent contact.
Oh, yeah.
Responding to all of my emails.
Yes.
Lots of emails. Approving teachers and denying students Google Classroom access.
Good ones.
Data entry into reports.
Yeah.
Putting stuff on my calendar with invitations and attachments included.
Okay. Okay. All right. Oh, somebody said cooking.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Data entry on reports. Meeting and supervision. And calendar.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if I have any fellow TikTok friends out there, but I literally just saw a TikTok the other day where this guy, I think it was maybe even a teacher. He was a dad and a teacher, and he literally like had parent calendar. I know there's some of you that can relate. Parent calendar and like his work calendar. He uploaded both of them and did this like magic. Okay, it wasn't magic, but it was AI. And within seconds had all of these calendar invites in his Google Calendar created. And so AI truly can make that calendar for you and all of those calendar invites for you. It was amazing. I was like so impressed. Haven't tried it yet, but it is on my to-do list. So I have to tell a story, Ashley. You know I'm good for this. I know I have a timer set, y'all. Ashley was laughing at me, but it's my best practice. So the whole email thing, when I am a former tech director, and when AI first came out, that was how I got our principals on board to at least give it a try. Because I told them we did a little fun task, and I said, all right, there's always somebody that we come in contact with that sometimes we wish we could send a different, less professional email.
More professional email.
We need it to be more professional. Right?
Yeah.
But sometimes we wish we could send a less professional
Oh,
email.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. So type that less professional email in any AI tool, and say, make this more professional. You get out that less professional email, and then, or you get it out, right, how you feel, and then you haven't wasted time because you have AI make it sound better for you, and then you still feel better, you've not wasted your time, you got out that professional email, and we all get to keep our jobs. See, it's a win-win.
It is.
So there's your trick for the day. All right, moving on. All right, so let's talk about why AI matters for schools now. Well, I'm sure that as long as we've been talking about AI, you have your own thoughts that come to mind, but let's just kind of breeze through some of these. We know that employers want people who can work alongside AI. We are now seeing, this is a Future of Jobs report, I believe that Vera shared with us not too long ago. We are seeing a continuation of job reports coming out from lots of different forums, telling us over and over and over again, we need people that will work with AI. We need folks that are AI literate, that have AI skills. You will see here that 62% of the workforce are hiring new people with skills to better work alongside AI. They're hiring people that have AI skills with no other skills that are pertaining to particular fields over people that have skills in those fields. So AI literacy obviously continues to be very important. I read this quote with Forbes the other day. If the past 50 years have been about getting a college degree and climbing a career ladder, we've dealt with that, right? The next 50 will be about adaptability, interdisciplinary learning, and AI literacy. I'm going to leave you with a little video here that when I saw it about a year ago, it just moved me. Pay close attention to the date on the video because the video itself is about 5 years old. But when you go back to this slide deck, I want you to watch the video and pay close attention to what's missing. And then I want you to ask yourself, will our students be ready if this truly is our future? Because I think you'll be surprised of what's missing. So it's definitely something to think about our next 50 years and making sure that our students do have those adaptability skills, those interdisciplinary learning skills, and definitely making them AI and digital literate. We need to make sure as educators that we continue to focus on what is now 3 digital divides. We need to make sure that allowing access to AI in our schools doesn't create another digital divide by not allowing that access, and that we continue to focus on access to devices and access to ed tech tools and AI tools, and making sure that we are giving them all of those skills that they need in order to be successful. Not going to harp on that. I will stay off that soapbox, Ashley, okay? But we wanted to make sure that we touched on that just for a little bit. And so if you're sitting there now going, okay, but how do we get there? Don't worry, we have an amazing superintendent, Mo Green, who just recently and is in the process of coming to a neighborhood again near you to talk more about his strategic plan. And in Pillar 1, he does talk about how public education continues to unlock the doors to the world and allows our democracy and economy to flourish. And within this, the last sentence here that I'll read to you, he says, students will also develop work-ready skills needed to succeed in college, career, and their lives beyond pre-K-12 instruction. And part of this particular pillar, one of the action steps does include work around AI. And our team is very excited about this work and supporting Pillar 1, as long as lots of other pillars within our superintendent's strategic plan. So having said that, as school leaders, how do you support this work? We've touched a little bit about how important it is. Now what research is out there. Ashley's going to talk to you through her research lens about all the examples there are and share some case studies now.
So before we jump into some, let's use AI and let's look at some of the research that's recently come out. Now, because artificial intelligence is still relatively new, I mean, it's not new, but it's new enough that we don't have deep and long studies in the research world. But we do have some research examples and case studies that we can share with you now. Thanks. So the first one is looking at, and if you were at NC Bold in any of my sessions, you may have seen some of these, but looking at AI generated lesson plans. So if you look at this chart, you'll notice that the second most reported use of artificial intelligence by teachers is for creating lesson plans. And then you can kind of see some of the other ways that they're using it, exploring new ideas for teaching, creating material to present to students in class. And then whenever we jump to the next one, we're going to look at some key points. So the way that this study itself was situated was they took social media, not social media. I'm thinking of a house bill. I'm sorry. They took social studies standards, and they typed into all three of these different large language models. They took the standard and they said, create a lesson plan for standard social studies, blah, 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 blah. And what they found was that a number of the outputs were stereotypical, they were biased. Some of them, and it was done during an election cycle in 2024, which is our last election, right? It was done during an election cycle. And what was interesting was the lessons, I think it was Copilot said, nope, we are not commenting on anything with that. They would not make the lesson plans for the teachers because of the fact that there was an election cycle going on at the time. All of these lessons were primarily lower order thinking activities. So if you hit the next slide, you'll notice that 90% of the lesson plans that were generated were in the lowest 3 levels of Bloom's. So if you're thinking about the types of lesson plans that you want teachers to be implementing with your students, really making sure that they understand that if you're just taking a standard and you're just tossing it into ChatGPT or to Gemini or to Copilot and saying, build me this lesson, one of the things that you're going to have to make sure that they're doing is that they're taking it to those upper levels, to the create, evaluate, and analyze levels. They can do this by adjusting the way that they prompt. They can do this by adjusting, taking the stuff and then doing some evaluation and change to those lesson plans. So keep that in mind, that according to research, these large language models are really just putting out what they have already seen in the past, which is a lot of sit and get lower level learning. Yeah, thanks. Another key point that came from this same one is that it did not produce, you would think that if you put in and requested that a lesson plan was created by technology, that it would actually implement technology, and it did not. So it would be basic, on a sheet of paper or on the whiteboard or things like that. There was no technology integration inside of those lesson plans that came out. So before we move on, just a wonder. So if this is the research, now what? What are some things that you as an administrator need to think about whenever you're talking to your teachers about how they're using artificial intelligence when they're doing their own tasks like lesson planning? So if you want to pop that into the chat, I'll give you just a second to do that. Also, if you have any questions about this research, and you do have access through the slides, to the presentation link. This was a presentation at the 2025 ISTE conference under the research section, because I am the nerd who goes to those research sections.
I love you for it. Yeah.
Yep. Establishing that craft prompting. Thank you, Ashley.
And if you're wondering what craft prompting is, we'll show you where you can find information about that in just a few minutes.
Anybody else? What are some things that you need to think about, knowing that this is what is happening whenever teachers are using these large language models for lesson planning or other activities? PD on an activity, standards, depth of knowledge alignment. Yes, definitely that depth of knowledge alignment. All right, well, if you think of anything and you want to identifying the bias, yes, absolutely. If you think of anything else, drop it in. Heather, you want to jump to the next research article?
There you go.
The next one is, it was a very buzzy article that came out just this year. You may have seen it in like Time Magazine, on CNN, all of that. And one of the things that was mentioned was, I think the big headline actually said, students are losing critical thinking skills by using ChatGPT. And what really was happening, and I grabbed the wrong, using AI to assist in writing tests. I grabbed the wrong key points here. So there it is. Sorry.
We'll fix it.
Sorry,
We'll
copied and pasted wrong. I'm going to fix that. So there were 3 test groups. Test group number 1 was given an SAT style essay to write, and they could only use their brain. They weren't allowed to use anything else, just pencil, paper, and their brain. Test group 2 was their brain plus Google search. So they were allowed to use a search engine like Google. And then the next one was they were allowed to use their brain, but they were also allowed to use ChatGPT. So the big thing that people were reporting on was the group that was allowed to use ChatGPT, they had been hooked up. All of these groups were hooked up, and their brain waves were actually tested. And what they found was the group that used ChatGPT had much lower level of brain activity than the ones that used search, and the ones that used brain only had the highest level of brain activity. But one of the things that the articles often missed was, if you actually read through, what you'll find is they went back and had these same people switch groups. So the brain only group was then given ChatGPT access, and those people had even higher levels of brain activity. So what it really found was that we don't want to lose that human element. So thinking about this research, when we're talking to our educators, or whenever you're using these resources with students, while using it to help brainstorm may be beneficial, what you really want to do is have the students start with their own work and their own ideas and all of this, and then use it to help them to make sure that they can do better using that large language model. Transitioning from self-thinking to AI boosted that metacognitive engagement. So just be careful when you read some of these big buzzy articles that say, ChatGPT is ruining people's brains. That's not necessarily the case. The other thing with this article is it was a very limited number of users. So I think there was only like 40 people who were even in this study, and it was in one location in, I think it was like Connecticut or something like that, because it was done near that campus. So dig into it, look at it. But if you're using AI at the wrong times, that's really whenever you don't have that brain activity or that cognitive thinking. So thoughts that you might have on this, go ahead and drop them in the chat.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm wondering if any administrators that are joining us today are thinking about how they might use this article with maybe some naysayers that they have, some folks that,
Yep.
are anti-AI. We might even have some that are joining us today, and that's okay. Not everybody's ready to jump all in on it. So, yeah,
Yep.
good for the no AI crew. Yeah.
And for your stakeholders. As a parent who has a child who has some communication issues, I try to work really, really hard with him on helping other people understand him better using artificial intelligence. So his brain is still working, everything, he's still doing all of the work and being the author of it, but he's using that tool to help other people make sense of what he's trying to say. Because he and I have conversations where I'm able to say things like, you need to say that differently, or I don't understand what you mean. Can we start over? But other people don't necessarily understand that, and it's very similar in his writing. So,
Gotcha.
yes, I'm interested in seeing them replicate these studies and see what we learn more about in this. All right, go ahead.
Interesting to see that kind of like how you use your pencil matters.
Yeah. Can you go back to the one that has the wrong title? So that's what's wrong with it. It only has the wrong title. I'm sorry, I was trying to use the same. So one of the things, and I'll change the title on this. This article is about feedback, teachers providing feedback. One of the things that they found was that generative AI has a really hard time affirming that student voice. And so do teachers. Sometimes teachers, and I was an English teacher, I'm guilty of it too. Whenever I would grade students' papers, I don't know if you got like this. I was middle and high school, so I had 100 to 120 kids every day that I saw because I would have them for 7 different periods, and there was 40 kids in each class, and because we were overloaded. But I often, by the time I get halfway through those essays, a 5-paragraph essay times 120 kids, that's a lot of paragraphs to read. So, but one of the things that they found was beneficial for teachers doing feedback, at least assisting the AI. So this is really just saying, don't just use AI, you still need that human component. If you don't have that teacher involved in that feedback, then the students do not have that personalized feedback that is sensitive to, and they call it pedagogical sensitivity. So for that student, being able to kind of back off, again, I had students that, they bleed all over their paper. I would have to refrain myself from bleeding all over their paper and focus on the things I knew to help them meet certain expectations, whereas I might have other students that I could go a little bit deeper and go a little bit differently with. Did that make sense? I feel like I kind of talked around that.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting that feedback in. Can we have Cindy yell that out for the people in the back?
Whether you are for or against AI, the fact remains that it is here. We need to understand it so we can help our students use it the right way. That is absolutely true. I'll change the title on this one if you want to go ahead to the next.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
skip 2.
Yeah, we certainly could have used that one for feedback.
And there's a real interesting article that I didn't put in here that actually talks about, there's an AI feedback pilot that they've done with students where they actually use the teacher's voice and then replicate the teacher's voice. So the teacher would do feedback on like 5 papers and then feed that feedback and the rest of the papers into AI. And then the AI would replicate their grading type, like how they grade, and then it would replicate their physical voice so the student could hear the feedback. It was a little scary.
Wow.
But yeah. But what it was saying was whether it was AI voiced or it was actually the teacher's voice, the students felt better because it sounded like their teacher. Kind of like, whenever we started doing flipped learning and blended learning, I had to create my own videos for my students.
Yeah.
They didn't want me to pull something off of the YouTube. So
It's true. They like learning from us.
AI integration. So this is a report that came from Microsoft, and I just grabbed this information as we jump into Heather's portion here in a minute, and the full report is linked. But one of the questions that was asked was, is AI currently integrated into your school or district's curriculum? Notice that 82% of leaders said yes, and only 54% of educators said yes. So as administrators, it's important that these conversations are continued with teachers and are supported, so that way our teachers are feeling more and more comfortable to integrate, and then they can start to feel like they're actually integrating it effectively. I think I told somebody at one point that if I were still in the English classroom, if I was still an English teacher today, my class would be absolutely 100% different. And I was primarily a writing teacher over a literature teacher, although I got into it to be literature teacher because I like reading. I didn't realize that meant I was going to read 120 essays every other week. But yeah, so I would restructure my English classroom from the top down, so that way I was integrating AI at different steps, and I was looking at it from every lens possible. And then the kids were doing work on a couple of things, and then we would put that into artificial intelligence, and then we would use artificial intelligence to start and come back. So those are the types of things that as leaders we need to be considering, is how are we making sure that our teachers feel comfortable enough to integrate this with students and have those conversations. So I'm going to hand it on over to you.
Before you do, I've just got to point out this one other thing. I want you guys to look at the bottom right corner. Knowing how to use AI effectively and responsibly is important to my future. 82% of students agree. Y'all, when have you ever heard of 82% of students agreeing on anything? Right? I mean, like, I just have to put that in perspective.
They might agree on cell phones in school.
Yeah, maybe cell phones. Okay. They're really agreeing that they should have cell phones in school right now for sure. But I just felt like that was a really interesting piece there. And so like it really puts a lot on us, I think. So if you are joining us and you are a school administrator or a district administrator, and obviously you're here because you're thinking, okay, I've got to do something about teaching AI literacy and supporting this in my building or my district. So we wanted to support you.
Sorry.
All right, we're working on switching back over mics, and giving some practical applications for schools that obviously can transfer over to the district level as well. And we're hoping to help you this afternoon get you started without being like completely overwhelmed. So this is how kind of my brain works. This is a graphic that you may have seen from our team before. Obviously, AI literacy is the most important, right? And you may have heard our team say it is important to teach about AI without using AI and before using AI, because as we know, and you guys have already alluded to it, like in the chat, there are things about it that are, can be unethical. If you are following AI now, there are so many developments about how great things that are happening with AI, but then we are also hearing some ungreat things. Ungreat things. There's the professional word for you of the afternoon. Some things that are scary, like lots
not so great.
Yeah, let's go with it. We're being recorded. This is wonderful. But some things that are super scary, like the deep fakes that are out there, and even the things that we were saying like last year about them not having emotion. Well, guess what? Now you are really having to double double guess yourself and double check yourself on everything, videos that you're seeing, because I don't know about you, but I've definitely seen some AI that has some emotion to it these days. And so
Mimicking emotion.
Mimicking emotion. Well, definitely making you think twice. Yeah. So understanding what AI is and what it's not, thinking about those potential risks and thinking about the benefits. I mean, we've seen cancer research in the last, I'd say, even 6 months take off things that have been accomplished in 6 months more than what's happened in 6 years. So there are wonderful things happening with the use of large language models and artificial intelligence, but those risks are there, and we've got to be the ones that are leading the charge of helping children know that. You know, we are responsible for leading the charge of educating all things to children. How do we do that? With everything else we have to teach them. I said I wouldn't get on a soapbox, didn't I? I promised it. I promised. So, how do we teach AI literacy? How do we support those teachers in our buildings? How do we incorporate this into everything we're doing? How do we make sure that we keep the human in the loop? So, how are there some simple examples here of how we can use AI to enhance education? Boosting learning by some personalized pathways and tutoring, simplifying tasks like automating some admin tasks that you guys mentioned too, that you were so quickly to give up when we started this conversation, those communications, smart decisions, helping make smarter decisions easier than we've ever made before, right? Some analysis of data and making
research articles.
Yes. Yeah. Data informed leadership that have taken hours upon hours to analyze. So ways that we can truly use time saving to really enhance education, to focus on some other things. So let's start right here, right now. If you don't have the slide deck pulled up, please get it pulled up, because I want to give you about 5 minutes to hop into at least one of these articles. We've pulled 6 that I believe are going to be the top 6.
Depends on the day.
They're pretty fire. They are pretty solid, wonderful, starting resources. Don't worry, I'm going to leave you with more. But they are there's a little mini ebook here that's about 6 pages, bringing AI to your school, brought from our partners, ISTE and ASCD. It's a 6-page little mini ebook about tips for school leaders about how do you get started with bringing AI to your school. Then there's a toolkit here from Teach AI. Definitely our NCDPI AI guidelines. If you have not looked at those before, somebody mentioned in the chat that craft guideline, that craft prompting. If you have not looked at our AI guidelines, I highly suggest, and yes, I'm 100% partial, that you start there. There's also some prompting ideas for educators. You want to win over your teachers for the first time ever, we can give them time back. So depending on where you are in your journey as a school administrator and bringing AI into your school, depends on where you might want to start here. If you haven't checked out our DTL Hub, in the AI section there is a plethora of resources that you may want to jump in there. And then our friends at Digital Promise have also given us a framework. So let's start on this slide. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and I'm actually going to be quiet. And my friends that are joining here, yes, I can do it for 5 whole minutes. I can do it. I want you guys to jump into one of these resources and just take a few minutes to find something that you can implement once this back to school season, we get over this back to school hump, right? What is it from this resource that you can begin to think about implementing in your practices? All right, 5 minutes beginning now. Let us know if you need anything through the chat.
We just noticed that the AI literacy framework link was not active. I fixed that if you want to refresh your slides. Would love to have you eat your food in here.
Hi, Angie. Welcome. We are just taking a few minutes to look at the resources. We'll be back in just about a minute and a half.
I'm going to drop the slide.
This is your 20-second remind or timer reminder. So wrap up those reading thoughts. All right. So hopefully you had a minute just to take a look at some of those resources. We wanted you to have a starting point, and we're going to give you an opportunity now to go ahead and put in chat. What did you find? Um, Anything that stuck out to you that you might want to remember, take back? Anything that you want to highlight for somebody else, go ahead and put that in the chat now so that somebody else might see a resource that maybe you saw that they did not get a chance to look at. Anything particular that stood out to you? Ashley, you're handling the chat, so let us know what you see.
Educators' prompts are helpful when
Yes.
giving a PD session.
Yes. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but in those educator prompts, there are ones that are specific for for administrators as well. So definitely you can kind of do a control F there and search by admin in those 300 prompts. Anything else?
Nope.
Nothing else coming through?
Great information from ISTE with links to lots of additional sources of information.
Yes.
And the prompt ideas from We Are Teachers.
Great.
Give the AI an identity.
Great.
Bringing AI to schools, tips for school leaders. It provided steps to implement the use of AI. I felt like the intro to my school is like a manual, great ideas for a rollout. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, what I loved about that one is that that little mini ebook. I mean, like, how often do you get something that is 6 pages that gives you that much solid information? That's what I loved about that one.
The mini book has that frequently asked questions.
Yes.
Tips on handling cheating and blanket
Yes. Yes. Great. Well, good. Ashley and I are sitting here going, oh my gosh, 5 minutes is a long time. So we're glad that it was valuable to you.
AI is reactive, predictive, and generative.
Yes.
Likes the examples of like the one examples given with Alexa and Netflix.
Yeah. AI is going to give you an answer for sure,
And it's going to
right or wrong.
affirm whatever you want. If you say, why is chocolate cake the best? It's going to explain to you why chocolate cake is the best, even though we all know that it's angel food cake.
No, yellow cake, yellow cake. All right. Well, again, these resources are yours. So if you didn't get a chance to check them out, please do. We also wanted to take a moment to make sure, again, that you have seen these guidelines. One thing that we want to make sure that you know about these guidelines is that we tell you never to print them out. They are constantly changing. As a matter of fact, I believe about 2 weeks ago, they just had updates. So if you have not reviewed the North Carolina updates recently, please do that. The other thing that I love about the way these updates are done is that you don't have to guess, like take 2 documents and compare where the updates were done. There's always a page at the top that tells you what updates were made and kind of a justification of why they were made. Vera Cabrera does an amazing job of making sure that our state guidelines are updated with the latest and greatest information that is out there. So lots of graphics that are included and ready to be used in your school and your classroom in these AI guidelines. So they are nationally recognized, and we wanted to make sure you had a direct link to those. So I've also given you some additional resources here, and I would consider these resources to help you as a K-12 school leader grow your understanding of AI. So these are links to like webinars and resources that would kind of help you again as far as your professional development. So I just wanted you to know what resources were here and why I would give you more information, and how these are kind of related. So rather than you having to dig for more, I wanted to give you some opportunities to grow in your professional development, as well as telling you that in that hub that was in that first link, you will see additional information from our team. And, like I've said before, definitely partial. And we would love to continue to invite you to grow with our team. So, having said that, the other thing is just like when all the ed tech tools hit, I would tell you that all the AI tools have hit, right? And the one thing that I think we do as educators is we want to try them all. You'll see that I have quite a few here, and I am by no means telling you to try all of these. I would encourage you to choose a tool and practice. Once you have found your favorite, use it for a while. And I see a couple of my links have not transferred over. I'll fix those for us. But give it a try and use it for a while, and then try another one, and then use that one for a while, and then try another one. If there's another tool that's not listed here that somebody's told you about, by all means, try that one. But do not, by any means, try all of these at once. You could even, as a school leader, maybe have one grade level try one tool, another grade level try another tool, and have them kind of come back and report that out as a whole school. Or maybe you guys spend, 1 month as a whole school trying out one tool, and then you guys come back together and give it a try. Lots of different ways to approach it, but trying out multiple tools at one time can definitely be overwhelming.
But also, keep in mind that you want to make sure that you are abiding by any rules that your tech department has put in place.
True.
I think some tech directors would come at me with some pitchforks
Good
if I
point.
didn't remind you.
Definitely.
They have the opportunity, and you can support them with this, making sure that you are vetting these tools and that they are not sharing data. Also considering the fact that when you plug something in, that data then could become part of the training for other large language models, depending on what you're using. So if you're using a personal Chat GPT, I have the paid version of Chat GPT at home. I use it all the time, but I do not put any sensitive information or data in there. But yeah, try and have fun with these tools, but just remember, keep in mind those data privacy things. Don't put in students' information that shouldn't be out there. And also make sure that you are keeping your devices safe and making sure your tech teams are feeling okay about you putting things in there.
That's right. Remember, we said you got to know about AI before you use AI, right?
Mandy says that she's been using Perplexity for research. She says it's fantastic at research and writing code.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah. Lots of different ones out there. I mean, there's so many, like I said, no way we could possibly keep up with it for sure. But the privacy piece is very, very important. Just because it's free doesn't mean that it is free to give all our student information away. Correct. By any means. One other thing that I do want to point out is terms of service. We are seeing just in the last, I would say, 3 months, several large language models that have extended use even to elementary age students, which we've not seen that before. However, as to Ashley's point, a lot of our tech departments don't give us access to all of these tools, and there's a reason for that, and that is a lot of them are for 13 and older. And again, there's a reason for that. That is to protect that data privacy and to protect our students.
Maintain SIPA compliance.
Maintain that SIPA compliance. That's right.
Middle school is always fun.
Yep.
Because you've got classrooms with 12-year-olds and you got classrooms with 13-year-olds. So
That's right.
it's real fun to do all of that. But there are some of these tools that are safer for student use, but really it's more about teaching the students. And really thinking about in our elementary levels, how are we talking to students about this, even if they're not using it? We can teach them that computers make mistakes. We can teach them things that, like, computers are not our friends. They are tools. So making sure that we're having those conversations at younger and younger ages here in the next, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it here in the next month or so. And by the end of this month, we'll be releasing some micro credentials that work with teachers in understanding how to have those conversations with kids as young as kindergarten.
Yeah.
Because if they're not having these conversations, then somebody is having these conversations with them. When ChatGPT first came out, my kids were in elementary school. And at the time, my youngest was, I think, in 3rd grade. That sound about right?
Yeah.
She's going into 7th.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
So I remember her bebopping home going, "What's this ChatGPT thing?" So just having to make sure that those questions are answered, or at least they're having an awareness as to the fact that these computers are not your friends. These computers are not, we don't want them to reaffirm any negative behaviors or stereotypes or anything like that. So
Yep.
I'll get off my soapbox now. It's your turn.
We tried, y'all. We really tried. All right. So wanted to leave you with a few more things. There are prompt libraries that for AI for Education has a prompt library specifically for our administrators. And you'll see here that there are interview questions, classroom management strategies, reference letters. These are prompts that are designed specifically for our administrators in mind that will help you heed the best results possible. Also, this was a great blog, I guess, that was done by Monica Burns a couple of years ago, but I thought it was still relevant. 21 prompts specifically for principals. So I promised you I'd leave you with a few little time-saving tips here. So dive into those if you will. So, well, Ashley did our slide, our ending question. I'll go back to that one.
I need them to do the feedback too.
We will, I promise. But before we go,
so I can do research. If they didn't like this, we need to know why.
We need to know. We will. So before we go, we want to ask you one final question to put in the chat. And we want to invite you to include your email address if you'd like us to email you a reminder that this is something that you are committed to doing. So after the beginning of the year whirlwind settles, what's one AI tool, idea, or habit that you'll try to save time or improve learning in your school? So we've talked about a whole plethora of information. We've talked about the effects on the workforce and why AI is important in schools. We've talked about research. We've talked about some implications and how to get started AI and how you can be the leader of some AI literacy points within your school. And so what is one action step, if you will, that you will take into a tool that you're going to use, an idea, a habit, something you're going to do to save yourself time, help teach your teachers how to save some time, how you're going to improve learning in your building, something AI related. If you'll share that with us in the chat, and if you include your email, we are going to email you after the beginning of the year whirlwind settles and remind you of that idea. All right, so we're going to give you a couple minutes to share those thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up, and Ashley will get the feedback for you.
I need the feedback so I can use the AI in order to help me to analyze the feedback.
All right.
I love this. I see Estella's going to be working on creating some better prompts,
Okay.
prompt guides and DPI guidelines.
Love it.
And then Jennifer Graham is saying that she's going to utilize AI to help her with spreadsheets.
Love it. Oh, Jen, I might need to work with you on that one.
Yeah. And then we've got Colleen, while you were talking, mentioned that there is a My Boyfriend's AI subreddit
Oh,
with over 12,000 followers.
oh, wow. Okay. All right, Colleen, if you share that with me, we'll add it to the resources.
And yesterday there's a girl who was showing off her ring where she and her AI boyfriend are now engaged.
Okay, wait, maybe this isn't relevant. I thought she was telling me this is like 1,200 prompts or something.
No,
Oh, heaven.
it's not relevant. 12,000. No, we were talking to the little babies
Oh,
about
gotcha.
our little
Gotcha.
kiddos.
Great examples.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, gosh, this is great. All right, keep those ideas coming. One thing that you're committed to.
Canva and helping with creating support groups.
Oh, wonderful.
Like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yes, Brian Whitson does have a great PD on AI and spreadsheets. Actually, if you guys go and check out our backpack from NC Bold, we were just going around the state doing NC Bold. We have a digital backpack. I believe it is on our DPI hub. If you want to check that out, those slides are there.
Yeah.
So, and you can
And
check
he
out
did
those
that.
slides.
That's right.
Ernie is going to use AI to help his district with their school podcast series. I love it.
Fantastic.
I love it. All right, friends, we are getting to our closing. So if you don't mind, if you will give us some feedback, do you mind copying that and putting that in the chat too, just in case they don't have access to the slides yet? So if you check out and grab that webinar feedback for us and make sure that you provide us with that feedback, and then keep a lookout for artificial and AI for administrators part 2. That's going to be done by Jordan. So where we were talking more about like the research around it and some larger places where you can go and start thinking about your AI usage and how you can talk to your teachers this year about it. He's actually going to be going into some more specifics, looking at PLC resources, modeling use of AI to your staff, looking at content knowledge gaps, observations, providing actionable feedback, which actually goes back to one of the things that somebody was mentioning they wanted to use AI for at the very beginning, and improving communication. So make sure that you make it to that session. It is in our Eventbrite.
It's not yet, but it will be soon.
It'll be in the Eventbrite. So make sure that you're following us, the DTL group on Eventbrite, so you get those notifications. And you're going to get a lot soon because we're about to start putting all of our September webinars out there. So
That's right.
Very exciting. Thank you so much. Do you have anything else to add?
I don't. Thank you for joining us. On that last slide, you'll see Ashley and I's email. Let us know if we can support you or help you look at a plan that you've come up with about how you may implement this and guide that leading and learning at your school. We'll be happy to support you in any way that we can. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. We enjoyed it.